So I have read The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. It is done. Took me 4 months, but what are people saying about this book? And what I've noticed is that people saying it's utter trash. I was a bit surprised because ideally this whole philosophy is, yes, it's kind of like Howard Rourke burned the building when he didn't have his way. So it kind of appears that as it teaches you to be an asshole. But the way what I take away from it is that defend your ideas, and which is lesson number one. Like, I truly want to be like Howard Rourke. Like, I want to have an opinion. I want to stand by it. This is what I think on this. This is what I think on that. As opposed to going like, what do you think? What do you think, guys? What do you think? Give me what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? Do you think this is a good idea for my life? Do you think this is a good career move? Do you? Okay, then I'll take that bullshit. No, and I guess it goes back to trusting yourself. You trust yourself to make that decision. I have no trust in myself because I might be wrong. I might make a wrong decision. Who wants that? I don't want that. I want to make the right. I want to make the right decision, but stay in the fact that you may make a wrong decision, and that is okay. Let's talk about Ayn Rand. So, I watched some of her videos. It sounds like she's a YouTuber. No, videos of her from the 50s. She was interviewed. There's a famous one in black and white where she talks about objectivism in the 50s, and the way she talks, that's a learned woman. I mean, intelligent, educated, well spoken, concise, economy of words, right to the point. She moved by herself to California. So I don't know if she was forced or it was on her own volition. Maybe she knew that staying in Soviet Union will not lead to anything great for her. I mean, my opinion is that she could have stayed and become a really powerful dissident, but then she could have been killed in the 50s by Stalin. She could have been on the execution list for speaking her mind. So maybe it is for the best, definitely for the best, that she moved. Her whole writing is soaked with anti-communist agenda, which is understandably so because those communists ruined her life and she had to move to America. Also, I watched a video of Hitchens destroying her whole philosophy in 4 minutes. And what he says was that last time he checked, selfishness doesn't need a manifesto or an advertisement. So we already come in selfish. That's for me. What about me? I deserve that. It's so interesting that the Republicans and right-wingers, for them, Ayn Rand is like this icon that they always sort of. I've watched this video where they had Rand Paul and all these right-wing politicians hold the book and say, "Read this," which I think is a great suggestion. And those right-wingers and Republicans, most of them are religious, and they're the first ones to go and donate their fortunes to Joel Osteen. The first character is Peter Keating. Let's talk about him. What I wrote in my review on Goodreads is that he basically perpetually gives you the Parthenon over and over again, and he gives you exactly what the deans want, exactly what the professors want, and he graduates with excellent grades, but none of it means anything because he's not innovative at all. He gives you the same old thing. So how does that? He's a third-rate architect, Dominique says. Do you want to be an innovator and be shunned, or do you want to be just another one? Oh, here's another one. It's probably, can't tell the difference between any other architects. They're all the same. They're kind of applicable to today. They didn't want dissent of opinion. They want you to agree with them. They want an echo chamber of the same thought. You're not encouraged at all to discover anything new. You're not encouraged at all to step outside the box. She based Peter Keating on this woman she met in Hollywood. She was I was gonna say a snake charmer. No, she's just a charmer that social climber, she says. This woman she met, the starlet, and the starlet that she met in Hollywood, she was able to penetrate, she was able to get into any social gatherings of any importance and, smooth talk her way in. Now, did she have any talent? I don't know. Do we know her name? Probably not. You have to read the room to get ahead. You can't just be, no, this is my opinion, fuck off. This is my opinion, fuck off. You don't think so? Great, goodbye. I mean, maybe that is the way to go. I feel like there's a sweet spot. Yes, you're building these buildings, none of it means anything. So I hope you're happy that you got there. I don't want to get nowhere fast. And I remember my acting coach, James, once said, don't try to get nowhere fast. Let's talk about Gail Wynand. So he was a newspaper magnate. He owns the Banner and many other newspapers in different districts. So he controls the press. He knows that he got rich off the backs of regular folks. They're not interested in Pulitzer Prize winning journalism. They're interested in trash and gossip. And the way Rand talks about these people is that about these regular folks that do buy these kind of newspaper gossipy newspapers is that they might as well be lined up and shot. Is Gale in love with Howard? And I think he was in some sort of a weird way. By befriending Howard, he tried to rectify all his wrongdoings, which is practically impossible. You can't undo those things. It's a question, really, which I kind of struggling to understand. He closed the Banner, his main newspaper, at the end of the book. So I'm trying to understand. You're gonna close the main newspaper as a sign of triumph and resignation and undoing, showing everyone that you're not that person anymore. End with enough of this, but then we're gonna continue the duplicates still, which I don't understand. Why not close the whole thing? I know someone else will take over, but why not close the whole thing and then just enjoy your money? Because supposedly, the way Ayn Rand writes him, he has old enough for 5 lifetimes. Let's talk about Dominique. So my first impressions of Dominique, that she was rich, mean girl, entitled, spoiled. Howard and Dominique have this tempestuous relationship, this love affair, and they're seeing each other romantically, in secret in the first half of the book. And then she berates him and criticizes him and his work in the public. I guess some people like when someone berates them, and that kindles the fires of their romance. And I don't know those mind games. I've never participated in those mind games. I don't know how that works, but I can see why people would like that. Leaves her life of luxury. I mean, her father's rich. She's rich. She has a house. Assuming her fireplace is made of marble. I mean, that shows that you have money. So she leaves all of that behind to marry Peter Keating and moves in his, I guess, 2-bedroom apartment with his mom, and his mom moves out, but she punishes herself, which I don't know the purpose of. I guess she's lost in this world. There's no right or wrong. When a person with such talent gets punished and the evil wins, I guess it's not a life worth living or existing in this world. Maybe that's her thinking. Why does Dominique agree to do that whole fiasco with blowing up the building? Why does she do that? I guess she'll do anything for Howard. Oh, I love Howard. Okay, let's talk about Ellsworth Toohey. So what did I learn from him? He is the epitome of evil. He promotes socialism, collectivism, communism, which I need to look up the key differences between those three. To me, they're all the same thing, but I guess there's very minute, very specific differences in all those three: collectivism, socialism, communism. Isn't that the same thing? He's pulling all the strings, he's the connector of everything. He kind of plots and plans of, I'm going to send the statue of Dominique to Gale because he will be intrigued, and then I'm going to have Dominique talk to Gale about possibly getting a commission for Peter. I mean, it's all maniacally planned. Knows that it is all a scam. I think, does he believe his own lies? That's an interesting question. Does he? And there was a moment in the book when actually Peter Keating asks Howard Rourke what he should do. And Howard was like, well, you already made a mistake by asking me what you should do, because you should never ask anyone. You already know what you should do. And that spoke to me like nothing else. I mean, Ayn Rand came down from whatever, from another parallel universe, and whispered that to me. And I was like, oh, I took that in. That I received that deeply. Wasn't the whole thing that Howard worked on a construction site where he did all hands-on labor, where he laid brick and did all of that, and that he has those technical skills? So why go to college if you're just gonna disregard anything that ever it was assigned to you? I got in. I refused to graduate, but I got in. Or do you say, I didn't even want to go in because those are a bunch of idiots? I mean, how do you, this whole idea of unionizing and this whole idea of these boards and associations, because at one point Ellsworth Toohey creates this board of young AGA or something like young architects, and I think that's her commenting on, Soviet Union was full of these associations and these boards, and they don't even know why they're assembling, because there is no task. He can't build a patio. He's not a part of the member. He's not a member of the patio association. Okay, so how do you become a patio association? I'd like to join. Well, you first have to present to us why you should be accepted. And there's a $5,000 initiation fee. There's also a $10,000 a year fee, blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, wait a minute, why am I paying so much money? And then nothing gets done because one architect thinks, everything should have it should have balconies. Another architect thinks, we should put a pool on top. And another architect thinks, what really needs to be done is a lot of greenery and focus and really build the lobby as big as possible, because that's the communal space. And then the rest, the apartments themselves can be small and tiny because it's for, and then nothing gets done because then they're debating and then it becomes this Frankenstein of a building that doesn't make sense. And I totally agree that one person, one vision. I have so many post-its in that book, and I highlighted and I copied and pasted so many quotes that I thought really hit different. He says, I have, let's say, 60 years to live. Most of that time will be spent working. I've chosen the work I want to do. If I find no joy in it, then I'm only condemning myself to 60 years of torture. Do you enjoy your work? Are you excited to do you want to do 50 more years of that? You do? Okay, then it's for you. Oh, you hate it? Run. Don't run away from it. Because but I know I have to make money. How am I going to eat? Yes, I understand all of that. A new religious faith could have been founded on the energy of spirit which he spent upon collecting lurid stories and smearing them across sheets of paper. What a beautiful sentence. A new religion could be found on the energy of the spirit, the way people are on their phones all the time. The amount of energy that is, you could have found a new religion with that energy. That's how much energy you put in it. Creation comes before distribution, because without creation there will be nothing to distribute. Let's give it all out. What are we going to give out? We all ran out of things to give out. Traffic lights restrain your freedom to cross the street whenever you want. But that restraint gives you freedom from being run over by a truck. Receive that.